Hi, my name's Steve Baxter. I'm one of the learning technologists here at the college. Welcome to Moodle Mondays. Moodle Mondays is a series of short films that we post on AdminNet on occasional Mondays, giving you some tips on how to use our virtual learning environment, VLE, which is called Moodle. In this Moodle Monday, we're going to look at adding a label to your course. Labels are useful for providing lists, short paragraphs of information, images, maybe put a table in with some information in it. We'll also take an in-depth look at the Moodle text editor called Atto. That's present in almost all Moodle resources and activities, so it's well worth finding out just how it works. The first thing you need to do is turn editing on in your course, if it isn't already. Then to add a label, click the Add an Activity or Resource button. Labels are a resource. Activities would normally expect the student to do something, whereas resources are mostly information to be consumed. Click the Add a Label icon. As you can see, we have an editing area, much like a word processor. The first button in the label is Show Hide Advanced Buttons. We'll cover this later on. It shows a whole row of additional buttons where you can do other things. We'll start with the basic buttons, which may be enough for you at the moment. Let's start by creating a title. Just like a word processor, you highlight some text, then choose what to do. Under the paragraph styles drop down, choose heading. Under the heading, we'll do a subheading. Press return to start a new paragraph. If you type now, you'll see the standard paragraph text. You can make the text bold, click again to undo, italic or coloured. You get a real-time preview of how the label will look in your course, so you don't have to constantly save to see if it's correct. Next in the toolbar is the unordered list or bullet point list. This could be a shopping list or a list of subjects. To escape from the list, press the return key twice. Next is an ordered list, which works the same as an unordered list except it's numbered. Again, press the return key twice to return to plain paragraph text. Next along we have link. Highlight the text, then click the link button. Choose a web address, then select Open in a new window if that's appropriate. If you choose Open in a new window, users will not be taken out of the course. Instead, a new tab will open. Click Create Link and you will see the text is highlighted and is now an active link. The next button is Unlink, which removes links from text such as the one we just made. If you would like to record the fact that someone visited a link, you should use the URL resource in Moodle, which will be covered in another video. Next we have Insert or Edit Image. If you click this icon, you get the usual search for a file dialog. You may have files that you've already uploaded, but to add a new image, click Browse, then locate the image on your computer. Make sure your image is suitable for a web page. Resize to around 400 pixels wide. If you're not sure how to do that, get in touch with the learning and teaching team. Enter a description for the contents of the image, unless it's decorative. Keep auto size ticked, as this will resize the image for mobile users. As with images, you can upload a video here. We prefer if you use a service such as QlikView, YouTube or OneDrive, but if you have a small video, you can upload it here. You can also record and insert a short audio or video clip using the next icons. We will cover this in a separate video. However, if you're familiar with recording audio and video and have a suitable microphone, you can do that here. After recording your clip, press Attach Recording to insert into the label. The next icon, Manage Files, allows you to manage the files you have used in your label, replace or delete them. The next icon is H5P. This is a learning design tool which will be covered in another video. If you've created an H5P object, you can insert it into your label using this button. Advanced Text Editing Controls. The first four buttons are text formatting buttons. This is Underline. Select text, then click the button. The next button is Strike Through, which does exactly what you would expect. The next two formatting buttons are Subscript and Superscript. Let's try to create the E equals MC squared equation. Next along we have text alignment, which you will recognise from your word processor. Left align, centre align, right align. The next two buttons are indent and outdent. These are useful if you wish to indent a quote. You can also outdent text to move it to the left again. Next along is one of the equation editors. If you need to use advanced formulas or mathematical notation, this may suit you. This editor uses the LaTeX language. If you're familiar with that, you may prefer this equation editor. There are some preset equations to get you started. A preview of your equation is shown in the dialog. You can edit the LaTeX however you like. In the label, the equation editor appears in LaTeX, but when you save it, it will be converted into an image. The next tool along is Character. This is useful to insert characters such as copyright symbols, or those which might not be available on your keyboard. Choose a character to include in your label. Next we have Table. This should be used for tabular information such as annual rainfall. We place the caption at the top and set the rows and columns required. We want the table to take up 50% of the available width. Just be careful that the table won't get too small for mobile users. Next is Clear Formatting. This applies to text size, bold, italic and colours. It has no effect on underlines, strike through, subscript or superscript. Highlight the text you wish to fix, then click Clear Formatting. The next buttons are Undo and Redo, so if you make a mistake, undo. If you want to redo, just use the Redo button. Next along is the Accessibility Checker. This dialog helps you to check that you have enough contrast in your text colours and the images are properly described. Clicking on this button will give some tips on how to make your label more accessible. The Screen Reader Helper will show you what a screen reader will read out to a user with a visual impairment. This information can be confusing, but don't worry too much about it for now. Next we have a pair of equation editors, one for maths and one for chemistry. We'll not touch on the chemistry editor in this video, however the math equation editor may be more suitable for you than the LaTeX editor. This editor uses MathType rather than LaTeX, and the interesting thing about this editor is that you can draw your equations by hand and these will be converted for you. You can see it's recognised what I was trying to say and I can insert that. This equation editor shows an active preview in the text editor window rather than the LaTeX version, and this is a very useful addition. If you're used to working with HTML, You can use the next button to view the source code for the label and edit it yourself. If you're not familiar with HTML, just steer clear of this button for now. The next button gives access to some predefined templates. Without going into too much detail, you can use the presets to create some stylish accordions and toolbars. You may have encountered accordions in websites. I will create a button toolbar as an example. You should label your buttons and put proper URLs in the link boxes. I will choose some preset colours for the buttons, then click Insert Component. The final button here is to embed a ClickView video. ClickView is a video archive facility we use in the college. We have a large repository of videos. To search through them, click on this button here. You may need to click a login link to proceed. Let's choose a video and click the small size. And you'll see that the video has been added to your label. There are some other settings here. You can hide the label from students while you're working on it. You can then show it on the course page when you're happy. You can restrict access to the label based on activity completion criteria or group membership. There is a whole course on activity completion linked in the video description. You can set activity completion criteria for the label itself, but we normally wouldn't do this, as label is normally visible at the course level and students don't need to interact with it. We don't use the tags facility at this point. Click Save and return to course to view your finished label. Turn off editing to see the student's view. You can now see all of the items we've added. I hope that was helpful. Obviously our label's a little bit over the top. If you had that much information to display, you would normally use something like a page or a book, things we'll cover in a later video. Just a word of warning. If you're copying and pasting information from a word processor such as Word, Pages or OpenOffice, you might find that the formatting doesn't work correctly on some devices such as mobiles or tablets. So if you do that, it's well worth checking the label to make sure it will work for everyone. As ever, if you need any help creating your online course, just get in touch with the Learning and Teaching team. And thanks for watching.